All right, gracious afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. They say science has saved us from myth, traditional fallacies, and of course, cultural inconsistency. And of course, science is not in contest with our values or principles as a society, but science is a tool to help us with understanding of our environment and a vehicle for fast-tracking national, would I say global development. Again, I welcome you to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, your executive producer, your host, your scriptwriter. Name is, I wear many caps on this platform, Real Talk. Of course, I have wonderful team behind me, the technical team who are always supportive all the way, even though we clash. All right, guys, it's important for us to hear what on this day in history segment has for us. When I return, I give my 2 cents and stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. My takeaway from on this industry segment is just the National Stock Exchange, that the stocks and investments, one area of involvement that I feel that is dependent on the financial and economic buoyancy of the nation. However, we look at it, if the economic weather of the country is filled with uncertainty and not favorable, so to speak, it will discourage investment from within and also discourage foreign investors or foreign direct investors or investments. So our government needs to rest on their own oars until our economy is bright enough from within and from abroad. I think this might take away from on this the industry segment today. I think let me just dive straight to the issue at hand, because the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, observed annually on February 11th, was established by the United Nations to promote full and equal access to science for women and girls. Despite significant progress, gender disparities in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that persist globally, according to UNESCO, only 33.3% of researchers worldwide are women, and just 35% of STEM students are female. And in Nigeria, the deep-rooted societal norms, limited access to quality education, and a lack of mentorship opportunities continue to hinder women's full participation in science and technology. So on the live show today, I believe that this episode is a special one on Real Talk with Kike, where I will examine the role of women and girls in science with a particular focus on the Nigerian perspective, which was one of the reasons why I had to coin my topic to that Nigerian perspective, because all this STEM issue actually differs from whatever country where you are living. So my discussion with my guests will explore the current state of women in STEM globally, and of course in Nigeria, like I said earlier, how have we come? What are the challenges that women in Nigeria have faced thus far? The impact of government policies and initiatives is also one of the conversation I'll be bringing to forward with my guests. Are there effective frameworks supporting women in science? The global success stories and Nigerian role models is something also I will be bringing to forward. When I was doing a bit of research, I didn't see a lot of that. So who are the women living to change that narrative when it comes to science now is something that I will be touching on, and I'm glad that I have two intelligent women who will be talking through to the issue at hand. But before I delve into real talk with my guests, I think it's important for me to play their profile. When I return, you agree with me that they are the right foot to throw light on the topic at hand. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Let me use this opportunity to welcome my guest, my beautiful, intelligent guest. I want to welcome Dr. Atanda-Owo and, of course, Ambassador Lucy Kike. Did I pronounce it properly?
Yes, you did.
All right. I'm getting there with pronunciation of it. It's a pleasure to have both of you on the show today. But quickly, let me come to you. I know Dr. Atanda-Owo, you are a regular face on our platform, and I want to say many thanks for constantly lending your voice on issues that affect us all globally. But with the celebration today that is, related to women, let's start off with the global progress in general in terms of equality, in STEM, despite efforts that I mentioned earlier about women contributing only in 33.3% of global, researchers and just 35% of students in STEM. When I say STEM, I mean in the field of STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are women. What strategies have proven, effective globally in increasing female, particularly in our country, Nigeria? Because I feel that I need to bring it into conversation when it comes to the adaptation of our environment. What's your take on this?
Thank you very much, my lovely sister. It's so good to be back here again.
I know.
And well, I would like to start by saying Happy International Day for the Women and Girl Child in Science. I have a background in mathematics, and not just mathematics, pure and applied mathematics. And if I recall, my first degree, my project topic was effect of viscous dissipation on a two-phase flow magnetro hydrodynamics fluid.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
I don't know.
Even me then, I was struggling with whatever it meant. You know, but what I'm trying to say invariably is, it's about role modeling, you know. I remember in those days when we were, because I went to a University of Technology, and in fact, my PR and applied mathematics, we still have some very few ladies, but there were some departments like civil engineering, you know, and so on. You see maybe one lady amidst like 50, 70 guys, you know. So what I've seen that have helped us to close that gap is a lot of role modeling, grassroots role modeling. You go to the schools and role model for them. I had to do that. As a matter of fact, at one point, I had to take over a school that was going to shut down. And I now focused on, I invested into teaching the children, right from nursery school, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at their grassroots level. Community school, not high up nursery school, you know, community school. So basically, it's about role modeling, and it's also about mentorship.
All right, many thanks for staying with me. Yes, Dr. Oladuni, thank you so much for throwing light on the question I asked. And I like the fact that you emphasized on partnership, on the fact that, you know, CSR in terms of giving back is pretty much very important. But with the issue at hand, with all you've shared thus far, let me come to you, because I feel that UNESCO's 2025 theme, which is unpacking STEM careers, our voice in science. I think that's the theme for this year, and I feel that, you know, I should bring that to fore when it comes to the voice of women aligning with the theme to promote, you know, the diverse and inclusive STEM environment that we found ourselves. So with the theme today, you know, what's your take, or this year rather, what's your take with the women having a voice in science?
Okay, so first of all, we need to look at the issues that we have when it comes to gender inclusion.
Yeah.
I am from the oil and gas industry, so I'm going to look at that majorly while I'm talking. I'm also the chapter chairperson for the International Forum for the Women in Energy, Oil and Gas. And so that's, it's pretty obvious that, you know, issues in about girls in STEM are issues that are very dear to my heart. So when we look at this year's theme from the United Nations, her voice in science, it reflects what women have done in the STEM industry, to see what girls have done, the achievements in STEM, and also the barriers that limit full participation. So these are issues that are addressed annually by the United Nations. So to put these issues in perspective, we have issues of representation. We know that the STEM fields are very important in shaping a nation's economy or a nation's future. However, we have limitations and underrepresentation when it comes to participation for girls and women. And so that really limits very positive, like inclusive policies and also decision making. So that is really an issue. So, but we've seen improvements in that area. However, there's still a lot to be done.
Absolutely.
Like you said earlier, we have like 33% representation.
33.3.
Yes, in researches, and that just goes to women alone. For core engineering subjects, we have 12%. So there's a lot that needs to be done. So I'm sure that as we discuss further, we're going to be discussing on how we can close those gaps and what government really can be doing to close those gaps and encourage more girls in STEM to encourage more girls to get into STEM fields.
Many thanks, Ambassador Kike. With all that you've shared right now, let me come to you, Dr. Atanda-Owo, because I feel that Nigeria has recently licensed its first floating LNG, you know, the LNG plants, you know, in nesting, you know, flared gas, you know, aiming to reduce, you know, environmental challenges and all of that. So I would like you to talk on the boost of energy production now, because I feel that with all that we are seeing right now, innovation has come to stay, technology has come to stay. How do you see such innovation influencing the role of women in Nigeria's energy sector with the balance of technology?
Thank you very much. That's an interesting one, actually. So with technology, it's going to be much easier. Like I said before, you don't actually need 6 packs any longer to drill oil. In those days, it was clearly a man's world and very few women. But with technology now, there are a lot of digital systems that have been introduced into the industry. As a matter of fact, recently, just about 2 days ago, there was a launch of a particular digital platform to actually enhance reduction of gas flaring by Atanda-Owo. And beautifully enough, the founder is a member of our board, Women in Energy, Oil and Gas.
Awesome.
And then with all this technology and the digitalization, it will help women to be able to also find a place in the energy, oil and gas value chain, because it won't be by the bicep or by by the physical energy or physical power you have any longer. So it's now a game of knowledge. So again, what we are advising our women to do is go for knowledge. Close the knowledge
Empower
gap.
yourself.
Empower yourself. Don't wait for your organization or your industry to send you on that training. Go online. There are lots and lots of information online. You know, in our days when I just joined the industry, there was hardly anything. So you have to first travel to London or travel to somewhere to go get trained. But now, if you Google anything, use AI, you get all the information. And if you apply all this information to the job, it will definitely help to also generate more idea, more strategies to help.
So right now, your focus now is self-development.
Oh yeah.
While I understand that self-development is key, Ambassador Kike, let me come to you, because I know that government, initiative promoting women in STEM is pretty much very important, and they've thrown a lot of light to that. So the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to science, or will I say advancing STEM education for women and girls in particular. So with what she has said thus far, I would like you to at least throw light on the capacity level. She has spoken about self-development. Let's not talk about the capacity at the NMDPRA, and as a global ambassador as well, knowing that, that's what you represent when it comes to gender priority strategy. How are these commitments, being, translated, to actionable programs where the women, the girls, will understand that self-capacity is what puts or makes them remain in the room?
Okay, so first of all, we're speaking basically as my position as the chairperson of the International Forum for the Women in Energy, Oil and Gas.
Yeah.
And I would also like to say here that we've seen a lot of support from the government when it comes to getting more girls in STEM, and also getting more women participation in the oil and gas industry. So we have a lot of support, we have a lot of sponsorships to ensure that we are seen. There's a lot of visibility where we as the women in energy, oil and gas, we are there. We're in major conferences nationally and even globally. And so that forms a sort of support for us to see that, for the younger girls to see that there are women that are thriving in the oil and gas industry. So also as an ambassador for gender priority strategy, what I'm involved in is being heard, getting my voice to be heard, seeing more, making sure that there's more visibility, and the younger women can actually look at me and hear my story and see, how far I have come. So over 20 years in the oil and gas industry is not a walk in the park. However, I had very humble beginnings, right? Coming from a family, an academia, my dad being a lecturer, he's passed now, may his soul rest in peace, and my mom, a retired teacher, and we are from a family of 7, so I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So coming from that academia background, right? So I found myself in the oil and gas industry,
which is the engineering aspect of today's show.
Exactly, as a senior manager. So, but it hasn't been easy, right? But I would like to say that getting into a network is very important, and getting government to support these networks like the Women in Energy, Oil and Gas is critical in getting our girls, because we have a formal role model structure. So that would really help us to get more girls into the industry, to encourage them. So basically, we've seen a lot of support in that area. We've seen a lot of support, especially we had a decade of gas with the Minister of Gas, where we in the Women in Energy, Oil and Gas, we collaborated with our Minister of Gas to see that there's a high or increased level of gas penetration, so the use of LPG and all of that. So those are the kind of things or initiatives that we partake in that can actually help, more inclusion, right, in the oil and gas industry.
All right,
So
many thanks for that
Thank you.
insight, Ambassador Kike. Okay, before we go on a quick break, let me ask you, Dr. Laduni, because I feel that the impact of this mentorship that both of you have emphasized on mentorship, partnership, especially when it comes to the awareness or advocacy of it. As the founding national president of WEOG, that I was also part of, but I've been an absentee, so they gave up on me, but how has this mentorship, because for anybody listening, someone like me, I keep it real on this platform, I actually do not believe in people picking a mentor without the mentor knowing that he's mentoring anybody. So how do you educate anyone who is listening to us right now on the aspect or the influence of mentorship in participation to the energy sector, and of course when it comes to mathematics, where I feel that that's also where your strength lies? Can you share a lot of success stories right now from your own experiences that is relatable to anybody who is watching us right now?
Okay, thank you very much for that. So typically for mentorship, there is the direct and indirect mentorship.
Okay.
There's the formal and informal mentorship. So let me start with the informal and indirect. So there's a lady out there that I like, and what she portrays looks like what I want to be. I start listening to her. I look for her books, if she probably authored a book or something. As a matter of fact, with technology these days, people go on YouTube to go and download maybe speaking engagements, motivational talks of some of those role models. Those are indirect mentorship. But one thing we all have done, we've done both indirect, and then we now have structures for direct mentorship, whereby even children in primary schools, we are developing curriculums that we can actually use to mentor them into the energy, oil and gas value chain. And another thing is, even for adults, last year we launched a project called Women Go Gas, Youth Go Gas, because Nigeria has declared the decade as the decade of gas, and we are trying to also enhance the economy through the increased usage of gas, because Nigeria has the 7th largest gas reserve in the entire world. So in order to be able to get, more people to penetrate, more shop floor people, every Tom, Dick and Harry, to get that awareness, we have to come up with a partnership where we are structuring a full gas mentorship program for women and youth at entrepreneurial level and at career level. And that is going to kick off in another few weeks. So I'm going to ask that people should look out for it. You can also look out for it on our website. We are going to put advertisements in the newspaper and so on. But that is almost, and with that, we'll have like a 6-month program where the women and the youths would be enlightened. Will be enlightened across the entire value chain of gas, upstream gas, midstream gas, downstream gas. Those that want to go into businesses around gas, will also enlighten them on how to do their businesses with some standard, business models, typical MBA. But then we will also then teach them the gas aspects. And also, if you be looking at watching the news, we are currently encouraging a lot of modular system. Modular system means you don't have to. It's not until when you have all the big money to create the big fat plants. With some modularization and digitalization that are happening these days, systems can actually come in small packs, small mini energy, modular gas processing plants, and so on. And we even see mini, in fact, let's even take it from mini cylinders. You see 3 kg cylinders these days, and so on. So that's we are using to encourage penetration and usage of gas in Nigeria, and we are focused on mentoring both women and youth into that space.
All right, many thanks for throwing light on the sustainability and, of course, contribution of the girls in our environment, and, of course, when it comes to empowering them. I think quickly, let me use this opportunity to welcome those who are just tuning in. If you're just tuning in, I say welcome. This is Real Talk with Kike, and we've been celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, a day dedicated to promoting full and equal access to girls in particular, and of course in terms of the participation of science for women and girls globally. And I'm honored to have two intelligent, distinguished, who have made significant strides in Nigerian energy sector, and of course when it comes to the four corners of the classroom. I want to say Dr. Mrs. Atanda-Owo, many thanks for creating time to be here. She's the CEO of Black Gold Energy, and of course I have the Ebony Black, beauty ambassador Kike. Many thanks again for creating time to be here to lend your voice on the issue at hand. And of course, she is the senior manager of environmental, management and sustainability at the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulation Authority. That's the NMDPRA. I want to say again, many thanks again for joining me on my lunch show today. But quickly, let me also open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 070-6865-3440, and of course it will be showing on your screen right now. And I was streaming live on Facebook, both on Silverbird platform and on Real Talk with Kike platform. All right, I know that we are running out of time, and of course we have some technical glitches here and there that made us to go quickly on the break. But Dr. Atanda-Owo, with all that you've shared thus far, I cannot help but bring into the educational strategy. I wish that I'm bringing Ambassador Kike here, knowing that she's from the background of academia, but we know that all of us are learned people. I believe that you'll be able to throw more light on it, because when it comes to the encouragement of call to girls to STEM, I feel that someone like you also will be able to throw a lot of light to it, knowing that you've gathered or coordinated women globally, women from different fields as well. So what are the challenges that you see that have remained a challenge, I don't want to say a problem, for young girls to pursue this STEM field, or in science, in mathematics? Someone like me, I ran from one of the reasons why I didn't go to science class or commercial class. I felt like, oh no, I wanted to be a lawyer, because it's it's a softer, there are softer subjects. Well, to some people, we might think it's soft, but until you get there, before you understand that literature, history, all those government subjects is not easy as well. So what strategies do you believe are most effective now in trying to overcome these barriers for Nigerian educational system, knowing that there are still a lot of challenges that we are facing with our curriculum today? Many history is being introduced back. I know that many schools have to take out history. Even some schools have to also take out our languages and the likes and all of that, which I feel that is part of some of the challenges we are facing, because all these subjects are interwoven however you look at it. So what do you have to say to this?
Okay, so the challenges, number one, we were too theoretical. I'm sure when you were in secondary school, maybe if you did titration, we did all those things that we really cannot relate it to anything.
Our reality today.
So it was more of theory, no practical. So for me, one thing I personally, when I told you about the school I had to take over that was dying, and the first thing I introduced into their curriculum was a line that says life application. So when the teachers go write their lesson notes and they just close it, normal lesson notes, I'll tell them to go back and go and include life application. So whatever it is you teach the child in class, the child must be able to see it in reality, in real time. And we noticed that began to change the mindset of the children, especially the girl child, because there's that unconscious bias that, oh, these courses are for girls, these courses are for boys, the soft courses, all those unconscious bias we used to have in those days. But these days, we let the girl child know that you can also read engineering, you can read mathematics, there's no big deal, and then we show them some of the role models, we show them some of the testimonials of girl child that are doing well in those fields. So if it is what you want to do, we encourage them. And these days, schools actually do run temperament checks now on children to know whether the child will fit better into sciences or the child will fit better into STEAM. There's now STEAM, the arts, and what have you. And now we also even try, because everything is science. Whether it's arts, you are studying or law, you are studying law, everything one way or the other still wrap around science. So we try to ensure we put in some part of the curriculum. As a matter of fact, I'm currently designing a curriculum for that is called Energy STEM.
Interesting.
And that Energy STEM is for grassroots host community children.
Oh, wow.
So that at their level, they will understand the oil and gas so much that some of, the mindset they have is, oh, the whole nation, everybody is coming to our place to come and take our oil, and then we are suffering. Let's go and vandalize the pipeline. Let's go and steal the oil. So the mindset we are trying to change is you can also own the pipeline.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're talking about the mindset about owning a pipeline, which is still me concentrating in this oil and gas, knowing that you're in the energy sector, because how can companies in Nigerian energy sector now foster a more inclusive environment for women? Are there still examples of successful women that you think that the young people today can look up to when it comes to the corporate individuals, where they can actually model?
Yes, so that is one of the things we are doing, women in energy, oil and gas. And we didn't just leave it at the women level. We go to the young professionals, the students, and also the girl child, such that across the value chain, they are models. We bring them out. A lot of them want to hide, by virtue of, like I said, the unconscious bias, that confidence, so we start bringing them out. And suddenly we see women now going to bid for oil block. Suddenly we see women talking about building a refinery. Suddenly we see women, before now in our industry, women are either just doing admin, finance, and all the soft aspects of the business or the industry. But now women are coming out to say, oh, I also want to bid for that oil block. There's a member of ours that she goes to drill wells. She will give you a proposal that she can drill your well successfully and take you to first oil. So basically, it's still much more about role modeling and mentorship. And also, we need to do some motivational talks to encourage, the women themselves, the girl child, the young professional to build their skills and also improve on their capacity.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate submission right there. Let me come to you, Ambassador Kike, because I feel that this question is pretty much very important to any girl child listening to us right now about balancing profession and personal responsibilities, however you want to look at it. Many women face this challenge of balancing their career aspirations and, of course, their personal responsibilities as well from their home front. We've heard the past president that will say that the women belong to the other room and the whatever and all of that. How do we change such perspective? What support systems are essential to help or to support women, in terms of thriving in their demanding STEM careers or whatever field that they find themselves? Quickly, this might be my last question to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Kike. So to answer your question, we have to look at things from the onset. So you see, the girl child has a lot to face in life. So there's the cultural biases, we have the societal norms, we also have our environment, and which can actually just limit her growth. So we're not just looking at only girls in STEM, we're looking at these barriers as well. So how do we overcome the barriers, and what kind of support systems can we give these girls? First of all, as a parent, we have to look at it from a parental viewpoint. We have to know that as mothers, we're women here, as mothers, we have to encourage our female children, giving them equal opportunities as our male children, knowing that there are lots of challenges that they're going to face while they're growing up. So we have the period challenges they face, and lots of hours out of school. So those are challenges that our girls face. But now let us get to the girls in STEM. So how can we see that? The career versus the workplace, there's that funnel where after going to school or studying in university and studying microbiology or engineering, how could they get into the workplace? So there's that funnel, and I would say energy companies can actually help by looking at their HR policies. So it starts from the HR policies, right? What are the rules of engagement? Do you have a 50-50 hiring policy? So that needs to be looked at as well. So these companies have to look at their hiring policies. Also, we also have to look at grants. So we have to give girls grants, scholarships, where we can encourage them to take on careers in the STEM fields as well. So those are ways that we can actually encourage girls to come into STEM. Also, role model. I think my founding national president has, I do not want to overflow the issue, but she's spoken about that. But it is important for us women not just to talk, but to identify younger women that we can mentor. You spoke about successful women. I would not want to start mentioning names here, but we know we have the big wigs in Nigeria who have succeeded, who have oil blocks, they are succeeding in the energy, oil and gas industry. But today is a call to action to ensure that they mentor younger women, they identify younger women whom they can bring up to speed in the energy, oil and gas industry. So these are ways. So there's mentorship, there are grants, the scholarships, there are hiring policies, and we also need flexible policies from government. And for the energy companies, we want a more sensitive environment, that the workplace should be more gender sensitive. So we want gender sensitive workplaces too, that identifies the need for women to feel more comfortable and thrive in the industry. So these are some policies and some actions that we can take as well.
All right, many thanks, Ambassador Kike, for all that you've shared thus far. And of course, to Dr. Atanda-Owo, I want to say thank you so much. But before I let you go, you know you're familiar with this platform, that the last segment of the show where we call Trending Stories. These are stories that bind us as Africans, as Nigerians. And the first trending story, you know, that caught my attention, that I feel that I needed to quickly touch on, I don't know if I have the time because they will start running commentary in my ears now, that we need to wrap up, is that of Nnamdi Kanu's, you know, legal battles and the Nigerian government. And I felt like, you know, that has been all over the place, and I needed to lend my voice on that issue, because Nnamdi Kanu's legal battles and the Nigerian government, you know, is something that I felt that the indigenous leader of, or the indigenous people of Biafra, which is the IPOB, you know, has been a central figure in the renewed agitation for the secession of the southeastern region of Nigeria to form an independent Biafra state. And his movement has, has gathered both support and criticism. Let's be honest, when it comes to the methods and the government's responses, how both of them have not been able to find the balance thus far. And you know what, when I look at things like this, I just feel like Nnamdi's story is one that tells us that you can never go against the government. That's the truth. You know, ever since he has been extradited through the help of the secret services back into the country, into the detention, he has not been able to fight his way against previous and current administration of Buhari and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's respectively. However, the question still remains, are Nigerians in support of his agenda or breaking apart of the Igbos to form Biafra nation? The answer is no. Even his brethren are divided on this course. I've seen quite a number of different responses online, and I'm asking myself, those on the outside in support of Biafra have been more armed to Nigerians in the eastern part than good. Yes, that's the truth, because from killings to unknown gunmen to stay-at-home directive, let's keep it real. From the body language of the government, it appears that it may not be released anytime soon. So it seems like they are causing more havoc than we can ever imagine when it comes to, you know, even his court appearances that we saw in recent times, where it seems that there is a frustration already that have set in, where, you know, Kanu was, you know, talking to the judge. And maybe I should refresh people's memory, because Kanu was first arrested in October 2015, if I'm correct, in terms of the charges, including, you know, treasonable felony and terrorism. You know, despite various court orders for his release, you know, he remained in detention until April, I think 2017 again to be precise, when he was granted bail on health grounds. And in June 2021, Kanu was also arrested under President Buhari's administration, and you know, since then it's been up and down, from one custody in October 2022 to Nigerian Court of Appeals discharge that have exonerated him, but yet the government has yet to release him, leading to widespread of calls for the rule of law now. So the Nigerian government has maintained a firm stance against IPOB's activities, designating the group as a terrorist organization since 2017. But the classification now is something that I feel that I needed to bring to fore when it comes to us, you know, justifying the strange measures, you know, that have come from different quarters, so to speak. And I'm wondering that if the government refused to release Kanu, despite the court order being a point of contention now, You know, are there going to be a lot of issues that will rise from there when it comes to the rule of law? You know, there are so many sides to this story, but quickly, let me come to you, Dr. Laduni. I don't know if you want to lend your voice in 1 minute before I go into the second trendy story where my sister took her and, lend a voice. That's Ambassador Kike.
Well, the way I see it, well, I'm not a politician, but the way I see it, there's this saying that goes that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So if the people that is trying to fight for are already divided, that's already a very, very red flag. So rather, I think there are ways around this thing. There are things called referendum. I know in Scotland, UK, at one point Scotland wanted to come out of UK, and then they just they did a referendum, voted, and then majority preferred to stay. And then that closed the case. So I think that could be a way to also go around this, because already the people are divided, and then he is now fighting, that just cause. I know it's good to want to be an hero, the Mandela of Nigeria and all that. But again, what are the pros and cons? You have to wait. And then the people, do they want it? So what I would rather say is that if there's a way the government and maybe the people represent... Yeah, exactly. More like a
dialogue,
AGR.
Respect for others, in terms of human rights,
exactly.
And all of that. I think,
alternative dispute resolution
absolutely,
system.
absolutely. Many thanks, of course, for, lending your voice when it comes to the agitation of the law and, of course, the human rights, what's it called now? But quickly, let me move to the last trending story. This story is something that I feel that, I needed to bring to fore when it comes to is it 4K's sister's death by a lover? Guys, this is where I lend my voice, and I just feel that this is truly disturbing. How did you get here is the first question that comes to mind. How did our society become a place where people who claim to once upon a time be in love, care for each other, or even worship God, turn into predators, taking innocent lives without remorse? How do we begin to process this is the painful question that I'm asking. The most frightening part of this tragedy is that the perpetrators approach his victim in church, a supposed place of worship where people go to seek healing, refuge, peace. Yes, it has now become a hunting ground for wolves in sheep's clothing. These are the same people who preach love and righteousness by the day, but commit unspeakable evil in secret. Just a few weeks ago, I remember how I treated a topic here where we're horrified by a case in Abuja where a man killed and beheaded his girlfriend, and now here we are again, another innocent woman taken by someone who she once trusted. When we are talking about International Women's Day today, about, celebrating women in STEM and all of that, I'm asking myself, have we actually paused to understand that we train the girl child to be sober, and the girl child that is sober leaves the home to meet these ill men? What has our society turned into? With all these ill and evil men, what drives this act of senseless violence? What kind of home are they from? Who raised them? Who raised them? For what and to what end is the question I'm also bringing to fore. Women must remain vigilant when it comes to choosing a life partner. I speak from experience now. However we look at it, a woman who simply wanted to live a life, to work hard, to be in peace, was terrorized and ultimately murdered by someone who she claimed to care for, or whether they've gone their separate way, whatever the issue may be. I just ask that, guys, the signs are always there. The signs are always the neighbors also, they see these abuses. We are in an environment and they say, oh, don't worry. If you hear other people's own, manage it here. So many issues, apologies that I have to swing by Yoruba. I'm a Yoruba woman. But, I try as much as possible to detach myself from certain issues on my platform. But I just cannot try, because no matter how much you look at situation, I've seen time and time again on this platform, society does not always act until it's too late. Domestic violence is real, it's dangerous, and it's taking lives. As I said earlier, I've been there before. I'm quick to choose myself and my children. That's why people wonder, how come Kike, you move on quickly and just move on. And no, when you think about yourself, even though it's not an easy thing, because you will continue to make excuses to say, I love them, the person will change. But my dear, they never change. How many more women must die before you start even seeing these serious signs, these red flags? Some flags are not even red, they are banners in your face. How many more families must mourn their daughters, their mothers, their sisters, because abusers are left unchecked? So when I saw that story from Foke, I don't know if I pronounce the name properly, you know, in terms of a sister that deserves better, every woman in this country deserves better. Everybody, wherever you are in the world, you deserve better. Regardless of whatever thing the society wants to say. If you like divorce 10 times, my dear, your peace first. Choose yourself first. The society we are alive. We must ensure that justice is served in this case. Not just a case where it will be swept under the carpet. The law must work. We as a society must do better in recognizing these red banners, I want to call them now, no longer red flags. Protecting those risks quickly, women that cannot see themselves. However you look at it, women sometimes cannot see themselves when they are in love. So I'm using this medium, this platform, to call on society, to call on neighbors, to call on parents, that to every woman facing a similar situation, please do not suffer in silence. Please speak up. I beg of you, speak up. It is important for you to understand that to seek help, do not wait until it's too late. Don't ignore all the red flags. Forget what the society will say. What is important is a woman developing herself. What is important is a woman having values where you want to imbibe in yourself and your unborn children. Let's not gather and be talking about whatever background, whatever issue, making excuses. And you know what? I think it's important for me to also put this out there for the families. May our soul continue to rest in peace. But may our story be the wake-up call that we need to put an end to this danger and manias. We cannot continue to turn a blind eye to the evil that is creeping into our places of worship, our homes, our communities. People hide behind religion from, but their hearts are filled with wickedness. It is time for us to stand up now, to pay attention. It is time for we women, if you are saying that we are lending our voice to issues that affect women, for women to come together, to try to support other women and not bringing other women down. You want to, another thing I want to bring to fall is the fact that, in all of this, even women will hear that this man killed another person, another woman will go in there and marry the person. I'm asking myself, what kind of system is this? Our justice system must ensure that such crime do not go unpunished. This is not about one case. It is about changing a system that allows such evil to not to thrive anymore. As a society, we must also ask ourselves the hard question: how do we protect our daughters? How do we protect our sisters? How do we protect our mothers? Those wolves in sheep's clothing are exposed before us and destroy the lives of our loved ones. How can we pay attention to raising a male child properly that will not continue to destroy the child of the sober girls that will live out there? This cannot continue. Enough is enough. Unfortunately, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. It's like, come your way next week. Remember to be kind to one another and protect your sanity. My name is Kike Atanda-Owo. Of course, I want to say many thanks to Dr. Atanda-Owo and Ambassador Kike for all that you've shared thus far today. Wish you the very best as you continue to navigate life. Bye now.